What it is, what it do, what it is, lads and ladettes. I'm the Grizz and welcome back to Yesterday Today. But before we actually get started, I want to thank everybody who was in support of me taking a mental health day last Friday. But we are back. I am well rested, and I am ready for all of the smoke. And by smoke, I mean the news. And by news, I mean Halo Infinite might be having something to reveal pretty soon. We got a recent teaser, and we got maybe Sony's response to the Game Pass, but that's in the meat and potatoes. For now, let's get into those appetizers. Alright, lads and ladders, let's start off today with Cyberpunk. Well, it's not all good news. I definitely want to say is, well, I'll give you the good news first. We are officially 2 weeks away from the release of Cyberpunk 2077. And how do I know that? How do I know that they won't delay it again, you say? Well, some physical copies have gotten out there in the wild, so the game has officially been shipped, and the day one patches are probably almost done, but the game has officially shown up in warehouses. There is a Reddit user, he showed that he actually held the game in his hand, and it showed up inside the Amazon warehouse, and here, as you're seeing here it is right here. It says, we're almost there, boys. I actually had the game in my hands. And what I also will say is that the fact that these copies are out there in the wild, you also want to get the fact that some people might actually have them in their hands. And in fact, somebody actually streamed 20 minutes of it on Twitch. And well, I definitely want to tell you, be careful for spoilers. Now, this is one of those games where some of your pretty much all of your choices will affect, and it'll be pretty much a unique path to you. But there are some things that you may or may not want to see that you want to keep wholly unique to you. So definitely keep that idea out there that spoilers definitely are out there, and we're just 2 weeks out of the game, and maybe the game isn't as playable as they want it to be because that's what the day one patch is. But yeah, once again, make sure you keep an eye out for those spoilers. So, wouldn't you know it, EA just gonna EA. They're gonna put stuff out there and, of course, charge you for more games, right? Charge you $10 more when necessary, right? So, the next gen version of both FIFA and Madden launch on December 4th, Jay-Z's birthday, of course. And, well, you'll be paid for $70 basically because it's next gen. And they said, of course, games will be costing more. This is exactly what they said some while ago. But you'll be charged, it's basically just $10 more, and you get some stuff for Madden Ultimate Team. This is called the Next Level Edition. But they didn't let you know if you could just buy the base one and just maybe pay $10 for an upgrade. Even though you might have last gen's version, you can upgrade right now for free, but that'll only last until Madden 2022 comes out. 2022 comes out next year. So just a heads up, if you haven't bought Madden yet and you're waiting for the PS5 or Series X version, well, December 4th it comes out, and be expecting to pay $70. Alright, lads and ladettes, so let's talk about Rocket League. So you may have heard some reports that Rocket League isn't running at 120 frames per second on the PS5, but it really is very easily. Well, Eurogamer sat down with Xyonix, I guess on a video call, of course, but they sat down with Psyonix and they basically explained why they couldn't do it on the PS5, because on the Xbox there was a minor patch, but given the way that backwards compatibility is on the PS5, it makes it a little hard, so you got to kind of basically make a port. But as you're seeing here, this is what they said. Enabling 120 Hz on Xbox Series X and S is a minor patch, but enabling it on a PS5 requires a full native port due to how backwards compatibility is implemented on the console, and unfortunately wasn't possible due to our focus elsewhere. So that's the thing. So you know, your TV needs to be able to handle play up to 120 hertz, but then it makes it more fluid for the 120 frames per second to work better. And this is actually very unfortunate, but it seems that PlayStation has been hard at work because they just designed it so differently, when the Xbox brand themselves have been focused on backwards compatibility since literally Xbox 360 later on in that life, and it just became a bigger deal in the Xbox One era, but closer to the end. But this gen is just like, yo, no, you're playing everything. Well, Sony has been trying to find ways to do that with stuff with like PS Now and some PS2 ports to be able to come over, but it hasn't been completely possible. But they always let us know that that's not the focal point, that's not our main thing, but we notice it's important to some of y'all, so we'll do it. So hopefully maybe sometime next year we'll be able to get 120 frames per second version on the PS5 with no problem. Alright, so we know this launch for these next gen systems have been pretty much a disaster. We already kind of foresaw that it was going to be difficult, but maybe not this difficult, right? So Amazon has been shipping out the pre-orders still, and people are still getting their stuff in the PS5s that they were lucky to get. But some people have been reporting that they're getting either empty boxes, cat food, or toys. Some people got a Nerf gun. It's absolutely insane, and this actually isn't on Sony. This is definitely on Amazon, and they said they're working on it. But then also what happened this weekend is that there was a random restock in the middle of the night. So I heard that it might happen, and you know, my friend Brandon was up, and both my cousin and I, Rich, we don't have PS5, but Brandon does. But Brandon, give credit to Brandon, he's been absolutely trying to help me and Rich as much as he possibly could. He said, y'all need to be watching the site, but I couldn't stay up. I went to bed at about 1:30, and then I got up, and I'm hearing about all of these horror stories. Even Kohl's had some PS5s up, and guess what? People, even after they had it in their cart and purchased it, sometime later on in the day, they were getting emails that, hey, that was canceled and you're no longer getting it. This has been a disaster, and once again, it's not on the hands of Sony, it's just on the retailers who haven't had it. And this was at Best Buy and everybody, and it's just like these bots, it's just disgusting. Just something needs to be done about it. But I heard Best Buy had put on a 2-level authentication just to be able to have a profile and to do everything so you can buy it, so it can try to maybe do something. But you still got to be lightning fast, because you got some people who are sitting here watching TV or playing their game, and then boom, ready and watching on their computer just so they can get these PS5s. But yeah, it's been really a disaster. I'm sorry for some of the people. I empathize with you. I don't have a PS5, but that doesn't mean I'm like ha 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 with an evil laugh, hoping that, you know, I hope that you'll all get it, because I want us all to enjoy the PS5 and Xbox Series X. Right, lads and ladettes, it's time for those meat and potatoes. And so let's start off with the Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. So, well, it is up over 300% over in the UK. Well over the last Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition that came out on the Nintendo Switch. And that's probably because it is attached to, it's basically canon, it's attached to the Breath of the Wild story. And if you were wondering, you know, maybe why they decided to make Age of Calamity, well, Game Informer sat down with the directors and producers of the Zelda series and some of the good people at Koei Tecmo, and basically they were told that they wanted to express the story and how they got there. You know, maybe if you're like me, who very red, or who've always been a fan of the Zelda series but never really finished a Zelda game. But when I saw Breath of the Wild and it being open world and all of it looked like with the endless possibilities of being able how to do things differently, it seemed very fun. And with that being so, that being the only Zelda game that I played, and me still being a huge fan of the lore, I jumped into that game, and it's just like, this is post-apocalyptic, years after something that seriously happened, that Link got beat so bad, he got beat into a 100-year coma, and you were wondering what it was. And so they wanted to basically expand upon the story, and with it being a prequel, and just talk about what the Calamity is, how everything came to be. And this apparently just seems to be like a very good game. And they even said at the end of the interview, Eiji Aonuma, he basically said, listen, if you play through Breath of the Wild, even if you haven't played Breath of the Wild, or you're just playing this, play Breath of the Wild a second time if you have. If not, play it again after you play Hyrule Warriors, and you'll probably feel something way more different emotionally toward Link after playing Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. And that's actually very interesting, and a very interesting and good interview. So I'm not going to play Hyrule Warriors right now. I do not have enough place on my play for it at the moment. But next year, when things clear up a little bit, I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to dive into it, because I really want to know more about the Calamity, and it's just voice acting, and I want to hear more about the world and all of the champions that died, and you even get to play as a Divine Beast. So I'm definitely for that. Can't wait to hear more about it. Lads and ladettes, if you're like me, a big Halo fan, you are still waiting with bated breath to hear more about Halo Infinite. Well, 343 took to them internets, and they definitely went ahead and released a statement, and they said this: we want nothing more than to answer your questions. We can't wait to go into deep detail about the rich story and characters in the Halo Infinite campaign, to dive into exactly how customization and progression works and shows up visually in the multiplayer experience, and provide a detailed look at the incredible depth of content across the entire game. Now, Okay, I really hope, because we did hear last week that it's not happening at the Game Awards, which is December 10th, and it's going to probably happen sometime next year. But now people are just thinking that this is leading toward maybe the game's going to be ready sooner than later. And now, from what we saw a couple months ago, the game didn't look bad. It just didn't look like it was going to be the game that was going to showcase the Xbox Series X and S, respectively, power. And so now everybody's like, all right, maybe this game isn't too far out. Some people are just like, maybe it's this time next year, maybe it's March. They haven't given us a release date or anything yet, but I'm really hoping that there was some serious and heavy polish. And it's one of those Halo games that we haven't played in a while that we absolutely love the story. Halo 1 through 3, great story. Halo 4, okay. Halo 5, you was just like, yo, what are you doing here? Why is Master Chief a villain? And who's this new guy, Locke? And you shoehorning people in there. Why are you making the guy out that who's basically saved the universe numerous times? You're basically making him a villain. And then they also heavily relied on some of the material that's outside of the game that people may or may not have paid attention to. So let's hope they don't do that, and Halo Infinite can tell its own story, be its own game. And of course, you want to release some stuff alongside it, but make sure it's like a side story or whatever. I'm not a creator, but, well, I am on this YouTube, of course, but I'm not a developer. But maybe not make it so much like, let everybody know and get a chance to play Halo Infinite and experience the whole story right there wholly in the game. And I just can't wait to hear more about it. I'm waiting with bated breath. I'm so excited that there is going to be another Halo game. And unfortunately, if it's terrible, I'll just probably try to find ways around it and say, nah, no, it's not. Alright, lads and lads, so let's talk about that PlayStation Game Pass thingy that we kind of heard. Well, Jim Ryan, he was over in an interview with TASS, it's the Russian website, of course, for Russian tech. And he basically said there's more to come, because they basically straight up asked him, what do you think about Game Pass? And he just straight up said, there is actually news to come, but just not today. We have PlayStation Now, which is our subscription service, and that is available in a number of markets. Now, what is so interesting to me about that is the fact that he just alluded it toward PlayStation Now. Now, we always knew that that was probably going to be a thing. That might be their version of Game Pass, because they started to put more newer games in there. But we always wondered, like, what would they do? Because Game Pass, the games are available day and date straight on there. But Jim Ryan does not agree with that method. He does not see it sustainable. As you see here, he said, we are not going to go down the road of putting new release titles into a subscription model. These games cost many millions of dollars, well over $100 million to develop. We just don't see that as sustainable. Now, that's definitely perfectly fine, and I definitely was always wondering. I think all of us had that question. They said, okay, Game Pass, that sounds cool. Games are going to eventually come to Game Pass. And then Will Phil Spencer says, yo, all of this stuff, day and date, right on Game Pass. Now, while that is a super crazy boss move, you wonder, how is that sustainable? How is Microsoft not losing money? And then they just went ahead and acquired ZeniMax for all of that money. It's absolutely insane. So, while it might not be sustainable for Sony, it definitely seems to be sustainable for Microsoft. And with them gearing up with us having xCloud, Game Pass on PC, and the Xbox Series X, and it looks like it's going to be doing well, and then basically trying to change everything and trying to make it more of an appeal. All those studios they acquired, and they started putting out all of these games, and it's only on your Xbox or Xbox platform or whatever. That's going to be very interesting. And now Sony, though, when you have all of these games as they come out, people are going to buy it because PlayStation, just like Frank Lucas says, PlayStation, it's a brand name. So basically, PlayStation is a brand name. You got a lot of people who aren't really into gaming, but they just hear that the new PlayStation is coming out. That's why they just got to buy it. Well, PlayStation is out. I want to play my 2K, my Madden, the game that I play every year on this new powerful system, but not the Xbox, because some people are just archaic in thought, and they think the Xbox's controller is still the size of the Duke. I don't know why people still think that, but believe it or not, there are people that still out there that think that. But yeah, Jim Ryan, I think he's alluded to that they're going to probably up the price in the PlayStation Now subscription, or somehow maybe merge that with PlayStation Plus. This is all speculation, of course. Take that with a grain of salt. Speculation, straight up. Lads and ladders, that is it for today. I'm back and in full effect. Don't worry, if I do decide I want to take another day off, you will be informed. Thank you though for understanding. But if you already haven't liked this video, if not, go ahead and hit that. If not, hit the dislike. It's all good. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that red subscribe button and make sure you turn on all those notifications so you know when your boy is posting. By the way, I post every day 9 a.m. Eastern time, bringing you some of the biggest gaming news you may have missed from yesterday today. That's it for this video, lads and ladettes. Thank you so much again for watching, and this video is finito.